Hello, everyone, and welcome to this important episode of Ignition Time. Now, there has been a lot of reporting that President Biden is planning on raising taxes for the rich, specifically on large corporations and for individuals who make more than $400,000 a year. In fact, the president specifically said there'll be small to significant tax increases for individuals making more than $400,000 a year. Now, I've started to see a lot of comments from our viewers and subscribers suggesting that, hey, this is a good thing that the rich are paying more taxes and the lower and the middle class income earners will not be impacted. But then I started thinking about this. If the rich start paying more taxes, is it possible that this could have an impact on low income earners and middle income earners? Could you see an impact to your financial bottom line even if your taxes aren't increased and let's say the taxes that your company pays or that your boss pays are increased? Well, the short answer to that question is yes, you could see an impact. Welcome to this channel and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Chhoda and here's some information about me. You learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like and why you should listen to me. Check out my introductory video. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is one of the fastest growing channels on YouTube when it comes to the country, the economy, as well as your money. I cover the difficult topics, the challenging topics that no one else really thinks to cover and that you will not see covered on conservative news sites or liberal news sites, because my goal is to bring you the truth wherever the truth might lead us. For me, it's not about the red or the blue, it's about the red, white, and blue. I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm American first. Let's just jump right into the news. Here's a new and very interesting article that was published by Bloomberg in the opinion column. Would Biden's tax hike really spare the middle class? The short answer is nope. And what this article reports is that raising the corporate levy would hurt ordinary workers, not just the individuals who will end up paying more income taxes, not just the individuals earning more than $400,000 a year. So as a viewer and subscriber, you must be thinking, wait a minute, how come if the rich and if the big corporate companies start paying more by way of taxes, how is that going to affect low income earners and middle income earners? Well, quite simply, this could result in lower wages over time. This could result in less hiring, and this could result in more pressure by these corporations on existing workers to do more work without additional investments in the infrastructure, without additional investments in software, without additional investments in the entire corporate setup that is necessary to contribute to greater productivity. Here's an example. Let's say you work in a company and the corporate tax rate for your company fell from a whopping 35% down to 21% as a direct result of the 2017 tax cuts that were implemented under former President Trump. But now President Biden is considering raising the taxes from 21% up to 28%. Now, if your boss is going to pay more by way of taxes, is your boss less likely to buy new computers, less likely to invest in more education, less likely to invest in more software, less likely to even hire more employees? Is your boss, therefore, is your company, therefore, likely to put more pressure on existing workers because now that they're paying more by way of taxes, now that their bottom line has essentially shrunk, are they now more likely to say, hey, you need to put in extra hours, you need to do a whole lot more work? And again, are they by extension less likely to hire more people? This is a problem, and this is how high corporate taxation, higher than what it is now, because it's pretty low right now, it's among the lowest in the world at 21% corporate tax rates. I can't compare our taxes with the rest of the world because that would be a completely different video. But if the taxes went up from 21% to 28%, we could see an impact on the low income workers and middle income workers. In fact, here's a quote from the Bloomberg article. And by the way, this is one economic theory. There are different economic theories out there, and every economic theory does indeed can have some holes in it and can be refuted. But here's the economic theory as outlined by this incredible article in Bloomberg. And as always, you'll get a link to that article and all of our resources in the description section below. A higher corporate rate lowers the after-tax return on additional investment, okay, which basically means that the business is not going to be able to invest in bigger offices, better computers, better software, overall better equipment needed to run the business. It doesn't matter whether you work in a large corporation or whether you work in a doctor's office. Less investment makes workers less productive, which in turn makes them less valuable. Now think about this for a second. If workers are less valuable, then businesses will reduce efforts to attract and retain them, putting downward pressure on starting salaries and restraining wage growth, which means that your boss will essentially not be able to pay a higher starting salary and will not be able to offer you a wage increase if their taxes go up. By the way, this is the fundamental theory of the Republicans, which is, hey, stimulate corporate investments in infrastructure so they can create more jobs, and let the low income earner, let the middle income earner pay their fair share of taxes to fund all this, which, by the way, allows the rich to get richer, and it prevents the lower income class and the middle income class from escaping the cycle of poverty that you see on your screen. The cycle of poverty is very hard to escape, and once you escape the cycle of poverty, it's literally a whole new world. And that is what I teach you on our channel. Check out the Managing Your Money playlist and the Financial Freedom playlist on our channel. Let's get back to the quote from Bloomberg. If workers are less valuable, then businesses will reduce efforts to attract and retain them, putting downward pressure on starting salaries and restraining wage growth. So the burden of the corporate tax increase would fall on workers in the form of lower wages. Now, the traditional theory is, hey, if you increase the taxes, then the share price is not going to go up, and then they're not going to be able to pay dividends. But the new way of thinking about this is, it's not like one of the employees of a large multinational corporation can just, relocate to a different country, which, by the way, these large corporations can do. They can shift their assets, they can shift their holdings, and they can shift their corporate activities from one country to another. And many countries actually do this. Apple, for example, has many assets in Europe and has entities in Europe through which money is funneled. This is nothing illegal or anything. This is just the flexibility that large corporations have. But an employee doesn't have that same level of flexibility. So the employee is the one that could end up bearing the brunt of corporate tax increases under the Biden administration. Now, what's interesting is that Tax Policy Center, you see the Microsimulation model of the Tax Policy Center on your screen right now. And by the way, you'll get a link to this also in the description section below. The Tax Policy Center has essentially assigned 20% of the burden of corporate tax to workers in its economic models. In other words, the Tax Policy Center is saying that when taxes go up, 20% of the burden is actually borne by the workers, by the low income earners and the middle income earners. Here's a model on your screen from the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. And as we scroll down this model has concluded that workers will bear 25% of the tax burden, which is fairly close to what the Tax Policy Center predicted. The bottom line, workers are going to bear the burden of tax increases on large companies under the Biden administration. And here's another very interesting quote from the article, which, by the way, takes into consideration all the political consequences as well, but I'll focus on the economic consequences based on this opinion piece from Bloomberg. The article says the workers, very much including those with incomes below $400,000, which means everyone under $400,000, low income earners and middle income earners. By the way, it's ironic that we should call someone earning less than $400,000 a middle income earner, but that is the economic model that is used by some of these studies. Workers making less than $400,000 will see their wages fall if Biden hikes the corporate tax rate. Future prosperity will be strengthened if the US continues to be thought of as a place for corporations to set up shop and do business. A tax rate at least as low as the ones in Europe and most other advanced economies is one way to help ensure US global competitiveness. But then the question arises, how are we going to pay for this mountain of money and for all this raining money and for all the trillions of dollars in stimulus and all this corporate debt? How are we going to pay for all this? And that is a predicament that is facing President Biden right now as he lines up his next massive $3 trillion infrastructure package, the Build Back Better agenda. Now, could the package end up being smaller? Yes, but that is the original goal of the Biden administration, a $3 trillion package when the country is already in debt by well over $25 trillion. At some point, somebody has to pay for all this. Is it going to be you? Is it going to be me? Or is it going to be the large corporations who, by the way, have the flexibility to move their money overseas and shield the money from taxes, finding legal ways, finding legal loopholes, finding the right type of lawyers, finding the right types of entities in the Bahamas and in Europe and in Switzerland and in Geneva and in so on and so forth. And if all else fails, they have the ability to pass on some of that burden. And you heard the stats, 20 to 25%. They have the ability to pass on some of that burden to the workers, to you and to everyone else watching. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I hope you learned something new. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, gives you behind the scenes information on the country, the economy, as well as your money. I have the ability to make it rain money, and I will make it rain money for you. Please follow along, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I will lead you to a new age of prosperity for you as I help you understand the way our country works. And yes, some parts of the way the country and the economy works are indeed rigged. But once you understand the way the country works, the way the economy works, you will be able to better handle your money. You will be able to make money, save money, and invest money, and that is the value we provide at the Ignition Time channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.